The stars had belonged to the Empire for 10,000 years. Their ships moved through space like gods moving through darkness. No one questioned them. No one challenged them. They had conquered every species they had ever met, and they believed this was the natural way of things. They were meant to rule. Everyone else was meant to serve. High Commander stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Dominion. It was the largest warship in the galaxy. Its weapons could destroy entire planets. Its shields could stop any attack. Had never lost a battle in his 300 years of life. He had crushed rebellions on 100 worlds. He had watched entire civilizations burn because they refused to bow. Today was supposed to be a simple day. Was overseeing the patrol of the outer regions, the empty space at the edge of territory. Nothing ever happened here. The stars were distant and cold. The planets were dead. It was the most boring assignment in the Empire, but even high commanders had to do such duties sometimes. "Commander," said one of his officers, a young named, "our sensors have detected something strange." Did not look up from his chair. "What is it?" "A ship, sir. It just appeared from beyond the border." This made curious. Beyond the border was nothing, empty space that stretched forever. They had sent probes out there long ago, and the probes had found nothing. No planets worth taking. No species worth conquering, just darkness and silence. "Show me," said. The main screen flickered to life. Saw the ship and he laughed. It was small, so incredibly small. The Eternal Dominion was 5 kilometers long. This new ship was maybe half a kilometer at most. It was shaped like a blade, sharp at the front and wider at the back. Its surface was gray and simple. There were no decorations, no symbols of power, no golden lights like ships had. It looked like something a child would build. "One ship," said. "They send one ship into space." "Yes, Commander, just one." "Do we know what species made it?" Checked his readings. "Unknown, sir. We have no record of this design. The materials are strange. The energy signature is different from anything we have seen before." Leaned back in his chair. This was interesting. A new species meant new slaves, new worlds to conquer, new resources to take. The Empire was always hungry for more. "Have they sent any communication?" asked. "No, sir. They are just moving forward slowly. Their weapons are not active." "They do not even power their weapons," laughed again. "Either they are very stupid or they do not know who we are." "Should we contact them, Commander?" Thought about it. The proper thing to do was to send a message, to tell them that they had entered space, to give them a chance to surrender, but was curious. He wanted to see what this tiny ship would do. "No," he said, "let them come closer. I want to see them better." The strange ship kept moving. It did not speed up. It did not slow down. It just kept coming steady and calm like it had no fear at all. This annoyed. Everything feared it was the natural order of things. As the ship came closer, could see more details. The hull was covered in strange markings, not decorations but writing, symbols that meant nothing to him. And at the front of the ship there was a name written in the alien language. "Can we translate that?" asked. Worked on his console. "The computer is analyzing the symbols, sir. It will take time." "Work faster." While they waited, studied the ship. It was ugly, he decided. They built beautiful ships, ships that showed their power and their glory. This ship looked like it was built only to work. No beauty, no art, just metal and engines and weapons. Weapons looked more carefully. The ship had weapons, but they were hidden, built into the hull. You would not see them unless you knew what to look for. This was strange. They always showed their weapons. They wanted everyone to see how powerful they were. "Commander," said, "the translation is complete." "What is the name of the ship?" "It is called the Horizon, sir." "Horizon, what does that mean?" "It is the line where the sky meets the ground on a planet, the place where the sun rises." Frowned. What a strange name for a warship. But then again, this was a strange species. And do we know where they are from? The computer has searched all our records. There is no match, but there is one sector of space we never explored properly, a small yellow star with several planets. We sent probes there 5,000 years ago, but they found nothing interesting, just primitive life forms on the third planet. Primitive life forms? Yes, sir. Simple creatures. Nothing intelligent. The probes said it would take millions of years for anything smart to develop there. Felt something cold in his chest. 5,000 years. To thee that was not very long, but what if the probes had been wrong? What if something had changed? Contact the horizon, said. Tell them to stop and identify themselves. Tell them they have entered space and must surrender their ship. Sent the message. They waited. The horizon did not stop. It did not answer. It just kept coming. They are ignoring us, Commander. Then prepare weapons. We will teach these primitives their place in the galaxy. The Eternal Dominion powered up its guns. 500 weapon systems came online, enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Smiled. This would be quick. But as he watched the horizon approach, he noticed something strange. The small ship was not changing course. It was not speeding up or slowing down. It was not trying to escape or attack. It was just coming forward, calm and steady, like it did not care about the hundreds of weapons pointed at it. And for the first time in 300 years, High Commander felt something he did not recognize. He felt doubt. Captain stood on the bridge of the horizon with his hands behind his back. He was a tall man with short black hair and calm eyes. He had served in the Earth Defense Force for 25 years. He had fought in the water wars. He had led ships against pirates in the asteroid belt. He had seen death many times and had learned not to fear it. But today was different. Today, he was looking at something no human had ever seen before. An alien ship, an alien civilization, proof that humanity was not alone in the universe. Captain, said Lieutenant Park from her station, they have sent us a message. Play it. The alien voice filled the bridge. It was deep and harsh, like rocks grinding together. The translation software worked quickly, turning the strange sounds into words that humans could understand. Unknown vessel, you have entered space. Stop your engines and surrender. If you do not obey, you will be destroyed. Did not move. He just looked at the massive ship on the screen. It was huge, bigger than anything humans had ever built. It was covered in gold and purple decorations. It looked like a palace floating in space, beautiful and terrifying at the same time. How many weapons does that ship have? Asked. Checked her readings. Over 500 active weapon systems, sir. Energy weapons mostly. Their shields are strong, stronger than anything we expected. And their fleet. Our long-range sensors have detected thousands of ships in this sector alone. Based on our data, the full fleet numbers in the millions. Millions of ships. Let that number sink in. Earth had exactly one interstellar warship. The Horizon had taken 50 years to build. It had cost more money than the entire global budget for a decade. Every nation on Earth had worked together to create it. And now it was flying into the territory of an empire with millions of warships. Some would call this suicide, called it necessary. Sir said, what should we do? Should we respond? Thought about it. Humanity had prepared for this moment for a long time. When the first signals from space were detected 100 years ago, the world had changed. People realized they were not alone, and they realized that whoever was out there might not be friendly. So humanity had prepared. They built weapons. They trained soldiers. They created the Horizon, the most advanced warship that human minds could design, not because they wanted war, but because they understood something important. In a dangerous universe, the peaceful and the weak did not survive. Not yet, said. Let them wonder about us for a little longer. Nodded. She was young, only 30 years old, but she was the best tactical officer in the fleet. She had dark hair pulled back in a tight bun, and her eyes were always moving, always watching. She saw things other people missed. "Captain," she said, "I have finished analyzing their weapons. And their energy weapons are powerful but slow. They take several seconds to charge between shots. Their shields are strong against energy, but they might be weak against kinetic weapons." Kinetic weapons, projectiles, things that moved fast and hit hard. Humanity had used such weapons for thousands of years. Rocks, arrows, bullets, missiles. They seemed to have moved past such simple technology. They used energy beams and plasma cannons, beautiful weapons that glowed with power. But the humans had learned something in their long history of war. Sometimes the simple way was the best way. The Horizon carried magnetic weapons that fired metal projectiles at incredible speeds. A small piece of metal, moving fast enough, could hit with the force of a nuclear bomb. And the Horizon had hundreds of such weapons. "What about their reaction time?" asked. "Slow, sir. Their computers are good but not great. I think they have never faced an enemy that could move as fast as us." This was important. The Horizon was not just powerful, it was fast. Its engines could accelerate it to speeds that would crush normal ships. Its computer systems could make decisions in microseconds. Its weapons could track and hit targets that were moving faster than the human eye could see. Humanity had built the Horizon to fight other humans. Fast, smart, deadly humans who had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other. They had spent 10,000 years conquering weak species. They had forgotten what it was like to fight someone who could fight back. "Captain," said another officer, a young man named Lee, "the alien ship is powering up its weapons." Looked at the screen. The huge ship was glowing now. Its weapons were coming online, hundreds of them, all pointed at the Horizon. "Should we raise shields?" asked. "Not yet. Sir, they are going to fire." "Let them." The bridge went quiet. Everyone looked at like he was crazy, but knew what he was doing. He needed information. He needed to see what weapons could do, and the best way to learn was to let them shoot. "All hands," said into the ship's communication system. "Prepare for impact. Do not activate any defensive systems until I give the order." The crew obeyed. They were scared, but they trusted their captain, had led them through many dangers before. He had never let them down. On the screen, the ship fired. A beam of purple light shot across space, bright and terrible. It moved fast, crossing the distance in less than a second. It hit the Horizon directly. The ship shook, alarms screamed, lights flickered, but the Horizon did not explode, it did not break apart, it just shook and then it was still. "Damage report," said calmly. "Hull integrity at 94%, reported. Some surface damage, nothing critical. 6% damage from a direct hit. That was better than had hoped. Earth scientists had done their work well. The Horizon was strong." "Now raise shields," said. The shields came online. A field of energy surrounded the ship, invisible but powerful. They fired again. The beam hit the shields and stopped. The ship did not even shake. "No damage, sir," said with a smile. Allowed himself a small smile too. They had shown him their power. Now it was time to show them something in return. "Lieutenant Park," he said, "target their weapon systems. Do not destroy the ship. I want to send a message, not start a war." "Understood, sir." His hands moved across her console. The Horizon targeting systems locked onto the ship. Hundreds of calculations happened in less than a second. "Ready, Captain." Looked at the screen one more time. The huge ship was still firing, beam after beam hitting the shields and doing nothing. They did not understand. They could not imagine that their weapons were useless. "Fire," said. The Horizon spoke. It's fired, sending dozens of metal projectiles across space at speeds that no sensor could track. The projectiles hit the ship's weapon systems. They punched through shields like paper. They tore through metal like it was nothing. In 3 seconds, the Eternal Dominion lost half its weapons. On the bridge, High Commander watched his power disappear, and he felt something he had never felt before. Fear. High Commander could not believe what he was seeing. His ship, the mightiest vessel in the Empire, had just lost half its weapons. In 3 seconds, 3 seconds of fire from that tiny gray ship, and everything had changed. "What happened?" he shouted. "How did they do that?" Was working frantically at his console. His hands were shaking. "I do not know, Commander. The projectiles moved too fast for our sensors to track. They went through our shields like they were not there." "That is impossible. Our shields can stop anything." "Apparently not, sir." Grabbed the arms of his chair. His mind was racing. They had conquered hundreds of species. They had faced every kind of weapon imaginable. Energy beams, plasma bombs, nuclear missiles. Their shields had stopped everything. But these simple metal projectiles had gone right through. "Send a message to the fleet," said. "I want every ship in this sector here now, every single one." "Yes, Commander." The message went out. Across space, ships changed course. They moved toward the border, toward the place where a single alien vessel had just humiliated the greatest warship in the Empire. On the horizon, Captain watched the enemy ship go quiet. Its remaining weapons were powering down. It was not firing anymore. Good. Perhaps they were ready to talk now. Captain said, "We are detecting multiple ships incoming. Hundreds of them. No, thousands." Nodded. He had expected this. They would not accept defeat easily. They would bring more ships, more weapons, more power. They would try to crush the horizon with overwhelming force. "How long until they arrive?" "The first ships will be here in 20 minutes. The full fleet will take about an hour." 1 hour, that was enough time. "Open a communication channel," said. "Let us talk to them." Opened the channel, stood up straight and looked at the screen. A moment later the face of High Commander appeared. He was tall and gray-skinned, with sharp features and cold eyes. He looked angry, very angry. "You dare attack a ship," said. "You have made the worst mistake of your short existence." "We did not attack," said calmly. "We defended ourselves. You fired first. You entered our space without permission. We came in peace. You responded with threats and violence." His eyes narrowed. He was not used to being spoken to this way. No one talked back to a High Commander. No one challenged the. "Who are you?" demanded. "What is your species?" "We are humans. We come from a planet called Earth, in a star system you visited 5,000 years ago. Your probes said we were primitive. They were wrong." Remembered the report. A small yellow star, a blue planet, simple life forms, nothing important. How could such creatures have built a ship like this? "It does not matter who you are," said. "You have attacked the Empire. You will be destroyed. My fleet is coming. 5,000 ships against your one. You cannot win." Smiled. It was a small smile, calm and confident. It made even angrier. "Commander," said, "I did not come here to fight. I came here to deliver a message. Humanity knows about the Empire. We know you have conquered many species. We know you rule this part of the galaxy. We are not interested in war. We want peace." "Peace?" laughed. "They do not make peace. We make slaves. You will bow to us or you will die." "That is not going to happen. You have one ship. We have millions." "Numbers do not always decide battles, Commander. Quality matters too. Your ship is the biggest and most powerful in your fleet, and we disabled half its weapons in 3 seconds. What do you think we could do to your other ships?" Went quiet. He did not have an answer. For the first time in his long life, he was facing an enemy he did not understand, an enemy who was not afraid. "Here is my offer," continued. "The Empire stays away from Earth and human space. We stay away from space. No one attacks anyone. We live in peace as neighbors. You are in no position to make demands, human." "I think I am, but if you need proof, let us wait for your fleet. Let me show you what one human ship can do against 5,000 ships. Then we can talk again." Ended the communication. His hands were shaking. Not from fear, he told himself, from anger. He was angry that this primitive species dared to challenge him. He was angry that his weapons had failed. He was angry that he had to wait for reinforcements. But deep inside, in a place he did not want to look at, he was afraid. The fleet arrived in waves. First came the fast attack ships, small and quick. Then came the cruisers, medium-sized vessels with heavy weapons. Finally came the battleships, huge dreadnoughts that could destroy planets. 5,000 ships surrounded the horizon. They formed a sphere around it, weapons pointed inward. There was no escape, no way out. The tiny human ship was trapped. On the horizon, the crew watched the enemy fleet take position. There was tension on the bridge, but no panic. They had trained for this. They had prepared for this moment their entire lives. "How are we doing?" asked. "Shields at full power," reported. "All weapons ready. The crew is at battle stations." "Good, and the special systems?" Smiled. "Ready when you are, Captain." Looked at the screen. 5,000 ships. Each one was bigger than the horizon. Each one was armed with weapons that could destroy cities. Together, they had enough firepower to burn Earth to ash. But was not worried, because the horizon was not an ordinary ship. It was humanity's answer to a dangerous universe. Every weapon, every system, every piece of technology had been designed for one purpose: to ensure human survival. "Captain," said Lee, "High Commander is sending another message." "Play it." His face appeared on the screen again. He was smiling now, confident again with his fleet around him. "Human," he said, "this is your last chance. Surrender now and your death will be quick. Refuse and we will tear your ship apart piece by piece. Your crew will die slowly and painfully. This I promise you." Looked at his crew. They were scared, but they were ready. They trusted him. They believed in him. He could not let them down. "Commander," said, "I gave you a chance for peace. You chose war. Now let me show you why that was a mistake." He turned to Lieutenant Park. "Begin the demonstration." His hands moved across her console. The horizon came alive. Its engines roared. Its weapons powered up. Every system reached full capacity. And then the human ship moved. It moved faster than anything they had ever seen. It shot forward, breaking through the ring of enemy ships like a bullet through paper. It spun and turned and danced between plasma beams and energy blasts. It's fired in every direction, hitting target after target with perfect accuracy. In 17 minutes, half the fleet was gone. Watched in horror as his ships exploded around him. 2,500 vessels destroyed by a single enemy. His invincible armada broken and burning. And the human ship kept moving, fast and deadly, showing no mercy. The galaxy had believed the ruled supreme. They were wrong. The space around the horizon was filled with fire and death. Broken ships floated everywhere. Metal twisted into strange shapes. Bodies drifted in the cold darkness. The remains of 2,500 warships spread across millions of kilometers. High Commander sat in his chair, unable to move. His mind could not accept what his eyes were showing him. Half his fleet destroyed. Not in a long battle over days or weeks. In 17 minutes. 17 minutes and everything had changed. The human ship had stopped moving now. It floated in the center of the destruction, untouched and undamaged. Its shields had held against every weapon that had fired. Its armor had stopped everything that got through. It was like something from a nightmare, a monster that could not be hurt. Commander said quietly, "What do we do?" Did not answer. He was looking at the screen, at the small gray ship that had just destroyed his world. How was this possible? They had the best technology in the galaxy. They had the strongest ships, the most powerful weapons. They had conquered everyone. No one could beat them. But someone had. These humans, these creatures from a forgotten planet, had done what no one else could do. They had beaten the commander said again. The remaining ships are asking for orders. Should we attack again? Laughed. It was a broken sound, full of pain and disbelief. Attack? With what? We threw everything we had at them, and they did not even slow down. Then what do we do? Looked at his remaining ships, 2,500 vessels surrounding a single enemy. It seemed like overwhelming force, but he had learned something today. Numbers did not matter against this enemy. Speed mattered, skill mattered, technology mattered, and the humans had all three. Tell the fleet to hold position, said. No one fires without my order. The message went out. The ships stopped moving. They floated in space, weapons ready but silent. Everyone was waiting to see what would happen next. On the horizon, Captain watched the enemy fleet go still. Good. They were learning. They were beginning to understand. Status report, he said. Minor damage to outer hull, reported. 2 offline, shields at 87%, ammunition at 62%. 62%. They had used a lot of rounds in the attack. The horizon carried thousands of projectiles, but fighting a whole fleet consumed ammunition quickly. If they sent another fleet, a bigger one, the humans might run out of weapons. Captain, said Lee, should we finish them off? Shook his head. No, we did not come here to destroy them. We came to send a message. I think they received it. The bridge was quiet. The crew was tired but proud. They had just done something impossible. 1 ship against 5,000, and they had won. History would remember this day. The day humanity showed the galaxy what they could do. But was not thinking about history. He was thinking about the future. This battle was just the beginning. The Empire was huge. Millions of ships across thousands of star systems. If they decided to send their full force against Earth, humanity would not survive. The horizon was powerful, but it was just 1 ship. Open a channel to the flagship, said. Opened the channel. His face appeared on the screen. He looked different now. The arrogance was gone. The confidence was gone. He looked like a man who had just watched his whole world fall apart. Human, said. His voice was quiet, almost a whisper. Why did you stop? You could have destroyed us all. That was never our goal, said. I told you before, we want peace, not war. Peace, after what you just did. What we did was defend ourselves. You attacked first. You refused to listen. You thought you could crush us with numbers. We showed you that you were wrong. Was silent for a long moment. He was thinking, trying to understand. His whole life he had believed in the power of the Empire. He had believed that strength was the only thing that mattered. The strong ruled. The weak served. That was the natural order. But now he was the weak one. His fleet was broken. His power was gone, and the human was offering him peace instead of death. Why? Asked. Why would you spare us? If our positions were reversed, we would have destroyed you. We would have gone to your planet and burned it. We would have made slaves of your people. That is what the do. Nodded slowly. I know, we studied your empire. We know how you treat other species. We know about the planets you destroyed, the civilizations you ended, the billions you enslaved. Then why not kill us? It is what we deserve. Because we are not like you. Those words hit harder than any weapon. He stared at the human on the screen, trying to understand. They had never shown mercy to anyone. They did not understand the concept. Mercy was weakness. Mercy let your enemies survive to fight another day. But the human was not weak. He had just proven that. His ship had destroyed half a fleet in minutes. He could have killed everyone. He chose not to. I do not understand you, said honestly. You will, replied. In time you will. On other ships, soldiers and officers watched the conversation. They saw their high commander, the great warrior who had never lost a battle, speaking to a human like an equal. They saw the destruction around them, the broken ships and dead comrades. They saw the human vessel, small but unbeatable, floating among the wreckage. And they began to think. For 10,000 years, they had believed they were the masters of the galaxy. They had conquered everyone. They had ruled everyone. They had never met an equal, never faced a challenge they could not overcome. But today, that had changed. Today, they had met humanity, and humanity had shattered everything they believed. In the following hours, news of the battle spread across the Empire. Ships carried messages from star to star. Officers talked to officers. Soldiers talked to soldiers. The story grew with each telling. A single ship from a forgotten planet had come to space. It had faced 5,000 warships, and it had won. Some refused to believe it. They said it was a lie, a trick, an exaggeration. That could not be beaten. It was impossible. But others believed. They had seen the recordings. They had heard the reports. They knew it was true. And they began to wonder. If humans could do this with one ship, what could they do with 10, with 100, with 1,000? The empire was built on the belief that no one could challenge them. That belief had died today in 17 minutes of fire and destruction, and in its place, something new was growing. Doubt, fear, and for some, a strange feeling they had never experienced before, a feeling called hope. Hope that maybe, just maybe, the universe could be different, that the strong did not always have to rule the weak, that there might be another way. On the horizon, watched the enemy fleet begin to withdraw. Slowly, one by one, the ships turned away and headed back into their own space. They were beaten, but they were alive. They would remember this day. And maybe, someday, they would understand why they had been spared. Lieutenant Park said, "Set a course for home. It is time to give our report." Smiled and entered the coordinates. The horizon turned away from the battlefield and began its journey back to Earth. Behind them, the wreckage drifted in silence, a monument to the day everything changed. The horizon came home to a hero's welcome. Every screen on Earth showed the ship entering the solar system. Billions of people watched as it passed Mars, then the Moon, then finally settled into orbit above the blue planet that had created it. Captain stood on the bridge and looked down at Earth. The ocean sparkled in the sunlight. The clouds drifted lazily across the continents. It was beautiful, it was home, and it was safe, at least for now. "Captain," said, standing beside him, "the United Earth Council is requesting your presence. They want a full report." Nodded, he had expected this. The leaders of Earth would want to know everything, what they were like, what their technology could do, what the future held. "Tell them I will be there in 1 hour," said. "I need to do something first." He walked through the ship slowly, stopping to talk to his crew. 300 men and women had gone with him into unknown space. 300 brave souls who had faced 5,000 enemy ships without backing down. They deserved his thanks. He found Lee in the engineering section, checking the damage to the hull. The young officer looked tired but proud. "Good work, Lieutenant," said. "You kept the ship running when we needed it most." Smiled, "Thank you, Captain. Though I admit there were moments when I thought we would not make it." "We all had those moments. The important thing is that we did make it, together." Continued through the ship, speaking to officers and crew members, thanking them for their service. When he finally reached the shuttle bay, he felt tired but satisfied. His people had done well. Earth had done well. The shuttle took him down to the surface, to the Great Council building in Geneva where the leaders of Earth waited. The room was huge, filled with representatives from every nation. They all stood when entered. They applauded. Some of them had tears in their eyes. Told them everything. The empire, the battle, the offer of peace. He held nothing back. When he finished, the room was silent. Finally, the council president spoke. She was an older woman named Han, wise and respected by everyone. "Captain," she said, "what you have done is remarkable. You have shown the galaxy that humanity is not to be underestimated. But I have to ask, what happens now? They have millions of ships. Will they come for revenge?" thought carefully before answering. "I do not think so, President, not immediately. We hurt them badly. We showed them something they had never seen before, an enemy they could not beat. That will make them cautious. But eventually, yes, they may try again. Their empire is built on power and fear. If they show weakness, their conquered peoples might rebel, so they will have to respond somehow." The council members looked at each other. Fear flickered in some eyes, but also determination. They had not come this far to give up now. "What do you recommend, Captain?" President Han asked. "We prepare," said simply. "We build more ships, we improve our technology, we make ourselves so strong that attacking us would cost more than it is worth, and we reach out to other species in the galaxy that have conquered many peoples. Those peoples might want to be free. They might want allies." "You want us to start a rebellion against the Empire?" "No, I want us to offer hope, the same hope we offered the commander, the chance for something better, a galaxy where the strong do not prey on the weak, where different species can live together in peace." President Han smiled. "That is a big dream, Captain." "It is, but someone has to dream it. Why not us?" In the weeks that followed, things changed quickly on Earth. Factories that had been building consumer goods started building ship components. Scientists who had been working on medicine and entertainment turned their attention to weapons and shields. Young people signed up for the military in record numbers. Humanity was preparing for the future, whatever that future might hold. The Horizon was repaired and upgraded. 2 more ships of the same class were laid down in orbital shipyards. Earth was building a fleet, but knew that weapons were not enough. He had seen the Empire. He had seen its power and its cruelty. If humanity tried to beat them with force alone, they would eventually lose. There were simply too many ships, too many soldiers. No, the answer was something else, something that did not understand and could not fight. 6 months after the battle took the Horizon out again, but this time he did not go to space. He went the other way, to the borders of conquered territory, to the species that lived under rule. They were afraid at first. They hid from the strange human ship. They thought it was a trick, a trap, but was patient. He sent messages of peace. He offered food and medicine. He asked for nothing in return. Slowly they began to trust. The first species to make contact called themselves They were small beings with blue skin and large eyes. They had been slaves of for 3,000 years. They had been stripped of resources. Their people had been used as workers and servants. Their leader, an old female named Sara, met on a neutral moon. She looked at him with suspicion. "Why do you help us?" she asked. "What do you want?" "I want neighbors," said. "Friends, allies. I want a galaxy where people like you do not have to be slaves." "The will never allow that. The do not get to decide anymore. We showed them that at the battle. 1 human ship against 5,000 ships, and we won. They are not invincible. They can be beaten." Sora's eyes went wide. She had heard rumors of the battle, but she had not believed them. No one beat it was impossible. "Show me," she said. Showed her the recordings. She watched in silence as the Horizon tore through the fleet. When it was over, there were tears on her face. "All my life," she whispered, "I believed we would be slaves forever. I believed there was no hope, but you have shown me something different. You have shown me that they can fall." "They can fall," agreed. "But we cannot do it alone. We need friends. We need people who want to be free. Will you help us?" Sara looked at him for a long moment. Then she reached out and took his hand. "Yes," she said, "though we'll stand with humanity." That was the beginning. In the months and years that followed, more species joined the alliance. Though with their great trading ships, the master engineers who could build anything, the vast warriors who had never stopped fighting even after their planet fell. Each species brought something different. Skills, resources, knowledge. Together they became something new, something the galaxy had never seen before. They called themselves the Alliance of Free Peoples. Their symbol was a sunrise, representing the new dawn that was coming. Their message was simple: everyone deserves to be free. They watched from their empire and they began to understand. They had faced a single human ship and lost. Now they faced something much bigger, an idea, a dream, the belief that things could be different. High Commander, disgraced after his defeat, spent his remaining years thinking about what the human captain had said. "We are not like you." Those words haunted him. What did it mean to be different? What did it mean to show mercy to your enemies? He never found the answer, but his children did, and their children after them. Over generations, even they began to change. The empire that had ruled through fear slowly transformed into something else, something better. It took 100 years. 100 years of struggle and negotiation and small wars and fragile peace treaties. But in the end, the galaxy found a new balance. And at the center of it all was humanity. Not because they had the most ships or the biggest weapons, but because they had brought something more valuable than force. They had brought hope. Captain did not live to see the final peace. He died at 90 years old, surrounded by his family, respected across the galaxy. But his legacy lived on, in the ships that carried his name, in the academies that taught his tactics, in the stories that parents told their children. The story of how one small ship came out of the darkness and showed the galaxy that even the mightiest empires can fall. The story of how humanity looked at the stars and said, "We will not be afraid." The story of a new dawn,